It's showtime.
Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals! During this a little bit of an interruption of awkwardness. Hey everybody, it's the D-Rock100, and welcome back to what just might be the absolute final episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Last time, when we started this trial, things got into chaos. But let's see how much of a chaos we're going to be seeing this time around. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Oh, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You got a lot of nerve, pal. Making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it Lana's having you run errands again. Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give this to you if there was a break in today's trial. Evidence law? I was talking about this just the other day. I'm sure you know the 2 rules of evidence law, don't you, Wright? Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. You could at least study some evidence law. Really? The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said, if you're planning to take him on, you're going to need this book. I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, Detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat? Despite all these allegations being thrown at me? Miss Edgeworth, the real trial today hasn't begun yet. Huh? What? What's there left to do? Your credibility has been all but ruined with this forged evidence you are unaware of. And Lana Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death? And now, you're telling me you want to do more? You gotta be kidding, pal! You're missing the point, Detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? If we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring an end to this. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. The Inquiry Committee is planning to impose harsher penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Yes, well... normally, this isn't where the prosecution calls for the witness, but, this isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that Mr. Edgeworth may have, struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witness? I didn't say that! It's just, you see, everyone has been talking and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. What? But there's never been a case example. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement. but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Andrew has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. Then it's settled. The defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright. You do realize this isn't your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. The defense calls... It's finally come to bring out the real murderer. As much as it pains me to have to say this... Damon Gant! The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything? As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right, bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this, some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, you want to play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto! Was it the grin face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh? Like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Sure. Take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. I want to check something real quick, because we got this book. So, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case in trial. Okay. I just had to see that real quickly. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Very well. The witness may now begin his testimony. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning the other day. Someone told me it's actually pronounced Neil instead of Nile. Or Nail. To be fair, I heard it from Dragon Ball Z a long time ago, and I kind of kept it like that as it is, even today, so... Oops. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage, it didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Is that when Dork was arrested? Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, he seems Dark bumped his head. I don't think so. I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut. If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I better hit him hard and fast. Alright. So that's fine. That's Fine. I want to ask him about this one. How can you know that? Because of the victim's body! It had already been moved! So that means... you found the body near Lana's desk. That's right! I think you said earlier, it was my suit of armor that really stabbed the prosecutor. Yes. Anyway... wait a minute. Yes, you do! You have something to do with the forgery, and I can prove it... with this. Objection!
Objection!
You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery. But I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this jar, for example. That's the blue badge you showed us earlier. A piece of this jar was discovered in your safe. Not only that, but the evidence on this I had presented earlier was actually found inside your desk. It was found where? You see, Chief Gant? These articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both a concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation. Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this? Here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So you admit to it then, that you were involved in the forgery. Who, me? Or do you mean you? Me? What would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office and when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? Detective Guzman's salary drops him further, and not paying him to work. Yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence you found in your office, and their relation to the forgery that took place in the crime scene. My! Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. Except you're practically dealing with a lot of people who are adults, except for maybe one who's only 16 years old. Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dork was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. When investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol. You do understand that I am the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Oof. Indeed, I believe I will press charges, so you won't make the same mistake again. My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know. Alright, Edgy. In return, though. I know. That place, right? Huh? What are these guys, telepathic? You have no proof of that. So what else you have? You can't prove that either. There's no reason I participated in a forgery. But you were also involved in it. You kind of admitted this yourself. I want to ask him about this one because, like we said, we learned that the crime scene took place elsewhere. Really, Chief Gant. At the very least, there's one very large benefit you've reaped from all this. Oh? I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? That would, of course, be the position you have, Chief of Police. Oh. The resolution of the SO9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in itself is sufficient motive. Oh, that's a good one! Huh? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SO9 had merely sped up the inevitable a little. Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes. He was going to be made chief anyway. Be careful with pointing that finger, or he might wind up being the one pointed at. So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There. It's out in the open now. Urgy, would you mind if I changed my testimony a little? By all means, please do. Wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. Nothing in it for you. Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you better think again. You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone. Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though. Oh, what a good one and Worthy. Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have had someone out? He had to have. He had to. True, you might not help out anyone for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone. Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand. That's not what I mean. Very well, I'll ask. Who was this person you believe Chief Gann might have helped forge evidence? Simple. Because Lana herself even had pointed this out in the first place. In fact, they worked together for this. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye? The defendant? I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister? Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would also have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit. Self-profit? What do you mean? After the S19 incident was resolved, Lana Skye was appointed Chief Prosecutor of the Prosecutor's Office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant. But how would he profit from all of this? He would be able to use the Chief Prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations. You mean to tell me that despite the Chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Oh wait! Okay, that's funny. Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. Your motive? To appoint her as Chief Prosecutor so you could control her. Right on, my boy. You have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I have done such a thing? Lana, just keep it quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she testified against Gant. I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture. Unless, that is also what happened in this incident. This incident? Which one would that be? Of course, I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The chief prosecutor had been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her. Worthy, you better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Just what do you mean? What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement. What? Order! I said order! Mr. Wright, you can't be serious! Huh? This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency! To accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder! That is impossible! Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier to understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. It looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this. Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder? Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell. I see. Alright then. Show us his evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman. Just remember, it better be good. The only thing that I could think of that can make this work is that if when Goodman had to get involved with something with the chief at the time. Wait a minute. I want to check something in my notes real quick. It has something to do with from when we first saw it all. When we first learned about the issues and that was happening over here. Let's see. Wait a minute. Lana must have had something that Goodman had at the time. Cell phone's useless. Victim shoe, that's not gonna help. The screwdriver is unknown to us. It was almost by Gant's request. Wait a minute. Of course! I almost forgot! Let's see here. The lost item report. The date was on the February 21st to be submitted to the chief. This never went through. It was half written. It has to be this. Take that! Take that! Well, Chief? So long as Mr. Wright is tossing out things regardless of their relevance. Mind if I toss something too, Edgy? This shoe should be nicely. I'll check it right at you. You always were quite the jocker, weren't you? Oops. Looks like I got it wrong. Don't oops me, or I'll be the one throwing my shoe next. What? I know it's hard with all that's going on during this trial. But trying to think back to what happened in the evidence room 4 days ago. Now that you mentioned it, we did find something out in yesterday's investigation. Which was getting into that room. Looks like he wants another one of your shoes, Edgy. I see. Alright then. Show us this evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman. Okay. Well, that didn't work. But this will. This will. Take that! This is the ID card list. Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list he couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 7777777. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my ID card number. It's your number. What? How do you know that? The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code. 7 digits? You don't mean... I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7777777. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant! You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime! Order! Order! Chief Gant, what do you have to say? Nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I would demand Mr. Wright to be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card. Chief Gant, so you admit it. You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime? What about it? I'm chief of police, whether it's in the evidence room or the bathroom. What's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days, Chief Gant. I'm afraid you just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman. What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Skye's guilt. No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. Chief Ganson had met the victim in the day of the crime. Then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting? In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime. That's right! This one was meant to be submitted to the chief. More specifically, this. Take that! Take that! I remember looking at this earlier. Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the chief of police. Yet you're in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filled it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter that evidence room that day. He needed to? Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Oh. Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him? There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on! Let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the chief of police, murdered poor Goodman? Exactly. But wait! The chief didn't necessarily need him to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once, but you showed us your ID card earlier. If you really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body! No! But Chief Gant, you didn't! The murder was most likely committed on the spur of the moment. No one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why else? To to dispose of Detective Goodman's body. However, the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? He was at the police department the entire day, you know. And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Here you! Take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office! I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body into the prosecutor's office. All this time I thought he was a useless clue just taking up space. How could the chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence. To move the victim's body, Chief Ganser would have had to use this. Now we're getting somewhere. This symbol was a user from earlier because, well, it just so happens to be right here. A116 is written on the tag. And yet, when we look at it in another way, remember him putting it on here correctly. It was nothing. Actually, this does. It was dusted for fingerprints from earlier. This is how he moved Detective Goodman's body. What's that? A screwdriver? But what does this that have to do with this case? Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is this screwdriver doing here? It's here because... I was asked to go, by Chief Gant no less. He told me he wanted me to keep it in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of those stabbings, I brought this back to the prosecutor's office. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office. But you did, because Chief Gant asked you to. You mean I... The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by the car. Clever. And they used a screwdriver to open the trunk. Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car? Yes. Unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to carry evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transfer the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye! But order! What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal in the defense's outrageous accusations? Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took of the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk and to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It was a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Chief Gant, please say something! I believe... Your time's up! My time's up? Sorry, Wright, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. You have to get going over it to make it in time for the early bird special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons. Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now. What? This is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. So you're going to just run away after all of this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, worthy. I stab old Goodman? That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I have Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show me your proof and get it over with. I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Demon is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Oh, Mr. Wright? Your Honor? Do you have any concrete proof? Prove that Chief Gann murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Skye dispose of the body. If we did, Lana would have said something, but that would have gone against her orders. And there's nothing in the court record that has something that is like that. I have no choice. It's no use showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor. At present, I have no conclusive evidence. See, Yudgy? In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief. What? I don't gamble unless the stakes are high. It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Yudgy, I'll leave the rest to you. I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency. Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her. Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean? There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet heard the honor of hearing her testimony. Who knows the truth? Another witness. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method is prove his testimony. But Chief Gann has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else. One more witness who can answer all these questions. Raised in this trial, someone right in this very room. Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person? Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today. Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist? She may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls forth... The defense calls Lana Skye to the stand. The defendant? Miss Lana Skye? She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task to dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders... Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor. Very well. The court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in Hold on! Huh? Chief Gant, I thought you were going to eat! Listen good, Lana. He's talking to Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claim, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. This isn't good. Of course, you never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright then, I've got a lunch date to meet. Okay, if there aren't any further objections, this court is now in recess. Looks like you managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edgeworth. That chief, he's something else, eh, pals? Detective Gumshoe. I'm not a detective anymore. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Don't worry. I've already decided where to work now. At your office. My office? Sure. I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with. Could he mean Maya? Still, looks like we're all out of move seat now. Chief Gant's done it again. How is it he always gets the upper hand? It's not fair he has the right to refuse to testify. Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said. But Chief, that is not a right to be casually invoked. there are certain risks to be considered. Risks? What do you mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too? Emma! Are you okay? Yeah. When it came to, I was in the medical office. I was listening to the trial from the gallery. So she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before. No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I also feel somehow relieved. Relieved? Yeah. Now I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. And she did it all just to protect me. Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside to force herself to do anything and everything the chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold. It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall. Hey, don't go blaming yourself now! If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal! Chief Gant may be able to fool anyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I got Mr. Marshall into that armor. I see. Well, we better get back. It's time for the final act. Emma, why don't you wait here? No! I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth. Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. You know what? Yes. I think it is time we ended this. I will be right back.
Fight.
Now then, would the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand? Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you are aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years. Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. You want to hear the truth. Of course. The truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana! If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. But what if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna ask her about this. But think about it, Miss Skye. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much as yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And... okay, I'm gonna ask her about this one. Why would she rearrange it like this? You said you did this all by yourself. Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's the only situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean, Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. Oh, just to protect me. So when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everyone boils down to. Yes. I broke up the tip, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body. You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's body, and then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask you for the sake of the others. I think the real question is, why did you move the body? When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Skye moved the body. So wait a minute. Are you talking about... this? Miss Skye, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery of the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered. If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been useless. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction in my testimony. You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events when it threatened my plan." That's right. Do you have a problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final movements. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not have been broken before he died. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar! Order! Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regarding to this jar and his bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical. Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together information to arrive at the truth. Very well. The witness may now continue her testimony. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments are large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. Why? You mean you were the one who wiped away those message in blood? I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Darko was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. When will this end? That's fine. And yet, there's something about this I want to ask about. I want to ask her this. But how could you see her with the power out? It should have been pitch black in that office. A detective is always prepared, Mr. Wright. Even now, I always carry a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry my bottle of emergency luminol whenever I go. I never miss anything. I got every last piece. No. I want to ask you, show you this once again, and remember, a piece was missing. Objection! Objection! Miss Skye, I believe this jar conceals a truth that even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you! But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece? I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective. It may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Can you... What? Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When the witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that. There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant. At the time, he was looking for her dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there, why would he break the jar? The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide the fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? No! Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposely hid on one of the broken pieces. Question: what is his action called? Fabrication. But why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma. And here's the reason. The reason why Miss Skye became the chief puppet. No! I did it on my own! Please, sis, stop trying to protect the chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys that make up the most foul lies in to defend their clients. There's a lot of grammarly issues in this one. Foul lies? I should have come from my own client. I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth. Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Lana, maybe right after all. What do you mean, right? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Miss Skye, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Skye, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. Alright, the witness may testify once more for the final time. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on the suit of armor and sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what happened, I thought she did it. That's why I raised all the evidence to link her to the murder. I had Chief Gent help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armor sword? You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave and hid it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought I might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you. Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture. I don't remember seeing any pictures from Lana. How does she give it to you this morning, right? I seem to remember gathering something from her then. Let's check that evidence again. There must be a picture in there somewhere. Yeah, we only got was this. Huh? Well, what do we have here? Oh! Hello! Hey, there's a picture here. Whoa! Oh my. This is the actual crime scene! No other detective saw the crime scene like this. That's because I contacted in criminal affairs only after I rearranged the scene. Mr. Wright! That piece of kind of out from the vest! Could that be? Clompy found it inside Chief Gant's safe! What's this? Now that cloth comes in! It's a handprint. That cloth had fingerprints on it. Whoever's fingerprints those must be the real murderer. What? But those fingerprints! They're yours, Emma. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on the cigarette. What? What? Come now, Udgy. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief Gant. What? Now you want him to make him be out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined testimony. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be the risk the judge was talking about. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. Yeah! So what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me, even if I can't testify. Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't. But someone does. Someone? So then, what's your excuse, Wright-o? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall's causing his death? Conclusive evidence? That leaves no room for doubt. Is this true, Mr. Wright? If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now. If you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do we do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? So I had to step away for a moment and be conflicted with this. I can't do it. I can't show the evidence. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence that I can present at this point in time. What? You lie! Chief Garrett? You opened my safe! I know you took what was inside! The conclusive evidence! I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see! It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it has been cut off for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? What? That means you, the chief of police, concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gal, Wright-o. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you admit to it? I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana. So you really were manipulating her. I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame laying with her sister, that when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted Miss Skye. I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the bodies across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When we rearranged the crime scene, I had 2 pieces of evidence. I did this before Lana arrived at the scene. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe? But why? For instance, for insurance, of course. Insurance. I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? Who do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police cheap by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I had the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe. The blood all fall from the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate a message on this jar too? Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Righto, cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant, that you were hiding the cloth and you cut off the victim's vest in your safe. Yes, I admit it. I don't want to have anything to do with that, being cheap and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it then before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. Now we have to show the evidence. Because you just admitted this yourself. Wait! Of course! Lana was passed out at the time! How could she have known about it? Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence shows that who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. Now we present the strip of cloth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut off this piece of the victim's vest. Oh yes! At last you finally brought it into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honor, the prosecutor requested that to be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather, there must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean, it could not have been forged. It must have been authentic conclusive evidence. You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Rhino had all this in his time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that. Mr. Wright, do you really know? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well, I'll tell you. You should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person whom these fingerprints belongs to are... It's gonna pain me a lot. Emma? Emma Skye? What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? You're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me. So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. How could you? You monster! Miss Skye, you know whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like you really didn't! Miss Skye, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. Ha! When I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposely concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have you barred, badge boy! What's the matter? Can't cut your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh? And what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. These pieces of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Skye, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What about this? What is this fool babbling on about? I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict? She can't get tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts the cloth. Now this picture will come into play. And what exactly is this supposed to be? This is the picture Miss Skye took. Take a good look at it. See where the pieces of his vest were cut off? Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on the vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs no doubt were punctured, blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth. Wait, there's no blood on it! Arrgh! Since Emma Skye's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Miss Marshall was not impaled on the sword! No! This is nonsense! Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have been arrived at the scene before Miss Skye? Picked up the unconscious prosecutor and impaled him on the armored sword! Then to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. Then he broke the jar on purpose and to leave behind a clue. And make Lana believe her sister did it! Remember what you admitted only moments ago. That you personally cut off his bloodless piece on the victim's vest. Ironic, isn't it? Though the very act of creating insurance. You proved that you were the actual murderer! No! It's finished. That was close, Rhino. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute his allegations? You see that piece of cloth? It's illegal evidence. Order! What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Reggie? Early old Rhino here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Rhino? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, that piece of cloth had ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair. Did you actually think you could best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Kent's claim is legally correct. What my charge worth? True. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright? It seems, at last, the time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposely and illegally concealed this piece of cloth? Nope. I was waiting for the ideal moment for when Gant would admit this. Certainly, I refused to present evidence at one point. Ha ha! So the evidence is illegal! No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't. What do you mean you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Edgy, don't listen to his lies! He's nothing but a coward! You can't let him! There's only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well. Let us settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now. Alright. Simple. Look at the evidence law. I believe it was Rule 1. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Lana Skye's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. Oh, okay, second rule. The second rule of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case in trial. And here is the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SO9 incident. What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall when was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. No! He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. Your word against yourself! You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut off this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes! No! It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth! The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer, and there's only one person who could be... Damon Gant! The killer was you! I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum! For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes have been committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Star, to convince Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right! If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've gotta help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take him the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room, and all of a sudden he had to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? You can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He told me to open up the evidence room and take it out. It's not too late. I'll hand this to Marshall. Well, to be honest, I was a little panicked too. I had a bad feeling about it, but never knew it would come to this. That's when I saw it. That accused knife. I couldn't just pull it out. You would only increase the amount of blood and you couldn't finish what you started. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble it, so I was wiping it up. I wasn't worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my mistake. Detective Gumshoes. A bloody handprint. I used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car? I'm sorry, we couldn't think of any other ways to move the body. We broke the trunk, but what's the big deal? You pulled down a lot more than us detectives! What does this have to do with anything? You're horrible! How could you get Miss Skye involved in all of this? Well, she had as much to lose as it did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I feel bad for having to do it. I couldn't sit around and pick and choose what to take. Well, you left the jar fragment and glove. Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They did their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well even upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, what are you doing in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me. We're in the same. One day you'll understand. If you want to take them on alone, you'll figure out what's needed. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Edgy. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Demon Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. Sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Edgy. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Wright out here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. You see, if I listen carefully, I can hear it right now. The sound of a new beginning. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes? First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Demon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Skye, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All I've done these past 2 years, from the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Skye. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My. What high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years from now, you just might make it to top. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Skye. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it! I only did my job! In light in this case, it seems as good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Skye. Yes, Your Honor? You were innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact that you were still acted as his accomplice, our trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. Is there something amusing about all this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free from these heavy chains. Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, not guilty! That is all. The court is adjourned. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry her sister didn't get completely off the hook. But at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. That's not it. Just now, after the trial ended, you see why Miss Mia Fey thought he so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. You've done well. You know, I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me. Hope I'm not interrupting anything. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Ah, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? Like we're seeing this already for like the third time. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it all off, you call me here? I've seen Harry. Oh, we've seen this already! Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Nope. Not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me? That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone. Lana! Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell you if you won't. Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I couldn't do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis. I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you were only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding that I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis. I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Oh, Emma. Emma! No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in so doing, we can find a way to back into our path. And once we've found our path, we can move on from our past mistakes and toward a brighter future. At least that's what I felt looking at those two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe. Me? Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. Where was he hiding? I just came to say congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right. Well, I'll be going now. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptedly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't change my own mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth. Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Kent was right. You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. If you want to take them on alone, you'll figure out what's needed. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime alone, one needs a weapon. It's scary, but I've been thinking the same thing for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both had made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime alone, one needs a weapon. That might be right, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Yeah. What is this, a pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright. Show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence. And now that Edgeworth or I would have been able to find on my own. The only thing that we have is this. That might mean something to you. But I don't see how it had anything to do with our partnership. Huh? Mr. Wright, it seems you still have a lot to learn as well. I guess that wasn't the right piece of evidence. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth? If you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that needs wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth! What will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember. What happens in this trial can either make or break you as a prosecutor. In the end, it's up to you. I know. Since I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell.
I better be getting back too. Okay, I'll come visit you. It seems we're both still have a lot to learn. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation. It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. And so another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself.
Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal.
Huh? What is it, detective?
There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this.
But I thought you said it was okay.
Yeah, well, maybe okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story.
Huh?
Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe it wasn't cheap either.
Huh? Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side.
Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here's the only one is the one who will be footing the bill.
Huh?
Huh? What, you think I could afford with that? With my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. Why is it? I didn't feel like I wanted him to scream.
Since we're all here, why don't we go all together?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go.
Objection!
All I could really say, this is probably one of the craziest games I've ever played. I rearranged for a friend of mine to erupt with it. He's a coroner. I think Emma would be pleased. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days as the prosecutor's office. Still, I managed to find my way back to the field somehow. Then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma.
This has been one of the weirdest games I've ever played.
It was not bad. It definitely had some parts where it seemed a little bit stale, but all in all, it was not bad.
Yikes! I thought I was goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If we penalize you anymore, you'll be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show you can't shake me off that easily.
So if I had to give this game a verdict right now, I would probably say that this verdict would probably be maybe a 7 out of 10. It was definitely a game that is worth playing, but it can come as a bit of a challenge if not know for what you're doing. So all in all, pretty good, but it definitely has its faults.
My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them though. Someday I'm gonna make detective. Yes, sir. Then I could just be like that Dick Gumshoe.
You have a very thin neck.
And I gotta say, this was a game that really made me go all over the place.
With all the notes that I've been putting on here, it was very impressive.
Sometimes I can even surprise myself just how much I had to put up with the blue badger right there. Ugh. There he goes.
I just hope that there's not any more to this case, because quite honestly, I feel like that this is, again, that's gone on way too long.
What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Mister, I managed to sneak this in for me. She's seeing one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, it looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina a backer smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? do not know who this Billy is, but he sounds like a fun guy.
Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu. The Right Way lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around these parts. Just make sure not to eat it backwards.
I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial.
Let's see what his name was again.
Mr. Left? Anyway,
He said he's been doing something or other for how many years?
well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I better be... Huh? Oh no, I forgot my gavel! Sorry, gotta go.
Don't they usually leave those on an actual judge's desk?
Yeah, this was a long trial.
And quite honestly, I'm actually kind of proud of myself on this. We finally reached the end of the game.
At least I hope.
Nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing Nick and his objections. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Maya, afternoon training's about to begin. Coming! Well, see you around, Nick.
I'm sure she'll be fine. I mean, it's not like she's gonna get caught up in another murder case or something. I'm just seeing what's pretty much at the end of this whole thing. Hope it doesn't go on too much longer.
Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth? I brought you your tea. What's going on? Great. I guess the real question is, where did he go? Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going into Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book.
Oh, they want me to do it.
Not bad. Actually kinda suits you.
It's over! It's finally over! Well, guys, thank you all so much for watching. But now, it's time for me to reveal to you what comes next. Next time on my channel.